Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the ranking member as well. I especially thank the witnesses for appearing today. Has the extirpation of General Soleimani created any unintended consequences that are adverse to our best interests, Ambassador Leaf?
Congressman, I think that will take time to assess. With all due respect, to my co-panelists, I don't agree that the Quds Force has really been dealt a significant blow. They're very resilient. I think there's predictability and method and rationality to the way Tehran comports itself. But the unexpected, I think you have to look a bit longer down the road.
Are the consequences of leaving Iraq on our own volition the same as being evicted, Ambassador Lee?
Absolutely not. Look, I think it's very important to recall that within Iraq itself, there is a wide body of support that did not exist in 2011. There's a wide body of public support for us to say they well recognize it's not just a question of the counter-ISIS fight, and Iraqis are aware that they do not have that capability yet. It's also when we leave, the coalition leaves. There's a shrinking of engagement with Iraq. Iraq becomes more isolated, more vulnerable to Iran's pressure. Again, going back to the issue of what it becomes for the region. And I assure you that our partners around the region are looking carefully at this question. Are we going to get pushed out? Are we going to let ourselves get pushed out?
Mr. Warwick, Nasrallah has command and control capabilities. He has probably one of the largest armies in the area that is not associated with a state. Is Nasrallah one of the rogue actors that you would be concerned with?
He's one of the most dangerous actors that we should concern ourselves with. He's not a rogue. But as both General Stewart and Ambassador Leaf said, the mission on which Qasem Soleimani was engaged in when he was killed in a strike was to build parallel state structures outside of the control of any government. That is a hugely dangerous proposition for the United States. This is what is creating the conditions that create forever wars. It's ironically not the United States. It's what Qasem Soleimani and his colleagues in the IRGC have been working on, and that's what makes it so dangerous.
The word on the street, to use a pedestrian term, is that Iran received 150 billion US dollars, that we gave Iran 150 billion US dollars. Is it true that the money Iran received was money that we were able to deny Iran for some number of years?
Yes.
It was Iran's money.
Yes, that is legally what it was.
And is it true that the $150 billion is generally perceived by many, including the Treasury of the United States of America, as an inflated number?
Representative Green, you happen to have hit somebody whose wife was in the Office of Foreign Assets Control at Treasury and has worked on this issue for more than 20 years. Those were assets frozen by presidential order and were returned after a negotiation. So that's a simple legal description of what the money was.
I thank you. I happen to have intelligence indicating that 56 billion is the amount the Treasury has tagged. But continuing with my very last question. Well, my time is up, but if I had the time, I'd ask you about the safety of American citizens. as with reference to lone wolves who tend to act on their own emotions, inspired by things that we can rarely understand. But I will not.
And I would say that you would be right in your concerns that lone wolves are one of the most difficult things for law enforcement and Homeland Security to try to prevent.
And I would just add, Congressman, that one thing that we should really look at is why did the Iranian military budget grow by over 60% between 2015 and 2018 to $26 billion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've been more than generous. I yield back.
Thank you very much. Let me thank the witnesses for your excellent testimony. I think you have gotten the committee in a good position to make some strong arguments from a budgetary standpoint that would help show up some known vulnerabilities, and we plan to use your testimony wisely in that effort. But we absolutely thank you for your forbearance on the questions, as well as your timely response from them. So thank you very much. Ranking Member, you had that? Well, I ask unanimous consent